Good morning. It's Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025, and it's about 8:05. I call the meeting to the SELCO monthly meeting to order. With that, we have one more board member that should be showing up shortly, so I'm going to skip over election of officers and go into review and consider the approval of the bill schedules and warrants. We'll do them, there are 3 months to approve, saying we've been on summer vacation. So first off, do I have a motion to, any corrections to the June schedule of warrants? And if not, do I have a motion to accept those?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, how about July bill schedules and warrants? Any comments or questions? Not hearing any, do I have a motion to accept?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then August of 2025, the bill schedules and warrants. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, do we have a motion to accept those?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Next is review and consider the approval of the meeting minutes of May 24th, 2025, the last time that we met form. Well, no. Do we have a motion on those minutes? Any comments or questions?
Was it May or June, did you say?
Actually, it's June.
June
The-
24th.
Yeah. I was going to say, I kind of, I knew we met in June. Okay, so for those last proposed meetings, with the correct date, which is already on there, do we have any motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's done. Okay. Next thing is, why don't we start with, do the review of the quarterly, Mr. Zacco, if you'd come forward. If that's Q2 financials, cable, and electric.
Good morning.
Good
My
morning.
name's Jim Zacco, Director of Finance for SELCO. And we are going to get to the financials. Just share my screen here. Okay, so this is the Q2 2025 financial update. Just to give you a quick agenda, we're going to start with the electric financials, go over the income statement, balance sheet, then cash statement, and then we'll move over to the cable financials and do the same reports in the same order. Jumping into 2025 Q2 electric financials, starting with the income statement, budget to actuals, we can see that total operating revenues quarter to date are below plan by 3%, and year to date are pretty much at plan. Taking a look at our total operating expenses for quarter to date, they are 1% above plan, and year to date about 2% over plan. This brings our operating income to about a negative 130% below plan quarter to date, and negative 150 year to date. Now, the next thing I just wanted to show is our other income seems a little bit high this year. This is due to our rate stabilization transfer. So this is just more of a timing thing. The rate stabilization transfer is basically when we take revenue that we had from one year, we move it over to rate stab, kind of to save it for future, expenses, reasons. It could be fluctuations. How that works on the financial side is it comes in as regular revenue and then reduces when we transfer it over to rate stabilization. When it comes out of rate stabilization, it comes back to just miscellaneous revenue. So we're seeing that here under other income. Timing wise this year, we were looking for this transfer to be part of the 2024, but because we didn't have the approval in time for the auditors, it did have to fall into this calendar year. That's something we've kind of noted now, and we've talked to the auditors about when we'd have to get an approval from the commission to still have it reflect on the prior year's financials. And from my understanding, as long as it is during the period of the audit is still acceptable, because one of the challenges for us would be trying to figure out what that transfer should be in the same calendar year. But I just wanted to call this out just so everybody could see it, because when we come to our total net income, it looks really high compared to plan, where we are about, on the quarter, 2 million in the actuals, and that brings us at about 500% over plan. And then year to date, it's 1.5 million, but it's about 1,000% over plan. This is 100% because of the rate stab transfer. This will bring us, though, right now to a return on plan of 3.7%. Jumping over to year, total operating revenue for quarter to date is about 8% above plan and 11% for year to date. Total operating expenses are 11% over plan quarter to date and about 17% year to date. And if we, not plan, year over year, I should say. If we take a look, you can still see these numbers for the rate stabilization transferring over to year as well. Over here for the quarter and over here for year to date. This brings our net income year over year increased quarter to date about 700% and year to date about 180%. Taking a look at the balance sheet, total current assets increased about 2.5 million. Some of this is due to the transfer we just spoke about, but the entire amount is not. There are other increases in there as well. When we take a look at our total current non-current assets, they have decreased about 1.8 million. So some of that is the transfer of rate stave coming from this area of the balance sheet, and it did get moved up into cash. It can't be seen completely because some of that cash has been spent because it was needed for this year. But that is a big piece of the decrease. The preliminary surveys and investigations down here looks like it could be a piece of that, but this number, if we remember from last time we presented, or last quarter's financials, this just transferred up here to the intangible asset, because this was the project 2015A up in Peabody, the peaking plant, and this is how the auditors recommended we capture it on the financials. This brings our total non-current assets down to about 1.9 million for the year, bringing the total assets up to 1.6. Taking a look at our total liabilities, they have increased about 2.2 million this year, and the majority of this comes from our accrued expenses up here, and this is coming from our merchandise and jobbing from our third-party contractors. Last year, I think year to date through Q2, it was like 5,000, and this year it's already up to about 1.9. So it just shows the amount of work and stuff that's going on and being done. Taking a look at the total earned surplus is down about $500,000 to this point in the year, bringing the total liabilities and earned surplus to an increase of 1.6 million. Now, jumping over to the cash flow, one thing that's tough for me to represent on this sheet is the transfer to depreciation that starts at the beginning of the year. Kind of should be included up here in the starting number. So the starting number is more like 4.8 million. So if we take a look at that, we have increased cash about 2.1 million through the year. This is due to transfers from other rates at this point, but we should see the cash increase toward the rest of the year as we see the rate increase that just went through kick into the financials in Q3. The rest of the fund balances have not changed. One thing to note that with the start of the building project, we will look at taking money from this construction fund at some point at the end of the year. Any questions on electric? Okay, we will move on to cable. Taking a look at the income statement, the budget to actuals for the total operating revenue for quarter to date, we are pretty much on plan for that and year to date. Taking a look at the total operating expenses, quarter to date, we are below plan about 8%, and year to date below plan about 11%. This brings us to a net income of about 64% above plan quarter to date and 100% above plan year to date. Now, one area I wanted to kind of talk about, because I finally have the numbers presenting in the proper manner to reflect what we're looking for, is our non-operating activity. If you noticed, I called out that this budget is the fiscal budget, because what this is for is the IT services that we provide to the town. So the way this kind of works is at the end of every fiscal year, we are going to look at either a positive or negative from what we budgeted for the town's cost and what the actuals were. That amount of money will then, every July, will be transferred from expenses to our retained earnings. I think I have, yeah. This is the amount here, this 82,000 is what this year will be transferred over to retained earnings in July. This is kind of a little bit of a funky scenario because we are on a different
Fiscal.
calendar, fiscal versus calendar year with the town. So what we do is we monitor the expenses and the revenue for 6 months. We then at the end of the year have to transfer that into a liability account just to hold it over for year end, and then transfer all the expenses starting the beginning of the year back. That's because with accounting, your revenue and expenses clear out every year, but we're trying to maintain this so we can understand from a town's budget perspective if we've charged more or less and kind of factor that in as a non-cash pilot payment, or contribution, I should say. Any questions, because that is somewhat of a confusing.
So we're taking credit for services that we provide the town. We're not actually receiving money back. We're using that as part of our pilot or payment in lieu of taxes to the town.
Correct.
So again, you're identifying how much of that.
Yes.
Okay.
And this is mainly because we estimate what we think the expense is going to be, in that we have the town pay that to keep to their budget every year. But when the actuals come in, they might be different for various reasons. Some of it was we knew we were going to be compensating for a couple of years, but as you can see, it's starting to level out a little bit, and the dollar amount shouldn't be anything that's that crazy.
Now, is this total town IT, including schools?
This does include schools, but right now the schools pay for anything we pay. So they have their own IT stuff, they have their own budget, but there's a handful, maybe 3 to 5 shared expenses. So one of them being like our Zoom phones, another one being Arctic Wolf. We technically pay, and then we charge the town and the schools. The schools do pay pretty much 100% of those charges.
Okay.
So taking a look at the net income adjustment for the non-operations, at a quarter to date, we are about a little below 50% of plan, and year to date, we are about 136% above plan. Taking a look year over year, our operating revenue quarter to date is below plan about 7%, or year over year, I should say, and year to date is as well 7% year over year. Operating expenses for the quarter are 4% below prior year, and year to date about 5% below prior year. This brings the net income from operations from a quarter to date perspective below prior year 18%, and year to date below prior year 15%. Now, taking a look at this non-operating activity, I could not include the full year yet for 2024. So this is only partial. This is the half year of 2024's expenses, where this is showing the full factoring of 2025. Part of that is part of 2024's expenses were from 2023, and we didn't have them broken out in a manner in 2023 where I could even add them to this to increase the number. Going forward, the hope is now we'll be able to show what these are, and I'll just have to figure out in the form how to make it present properly so it looks nice. But I just wanted to point out that this number is only one half of the equation for this. Taking a look at the net adjusted income for non-operations, we are below prior year 33% quarter to date and 11% year to date. Jumping over to the...
Can I just ask one question? So when they actually pay for services, is that, where are we putting that? Like, are we offsetting?
So,
Does it go, like, because if it's not non-cash, right? Well, it's non-cash, and this number is non-cash. Are you putting it in there to offset that, or does it go into income?
So we have two separate non-operational revenue and expense accounts in this 114 accounting. All the revenue goes into our 114 non-operational. All the expenses we have go into the 417.1 sub-account. We then net the two of those to figure out what the non-cash contribution is.
Okay.
But we do have, like, all the cash is coming out, and they are physically paying us a fixed amount that's going into that revenue.
Into that account. Okay, just wanted to clarify that.
Yep. Nope. That's a great question.
Could I just ask a question on, going back up to the operating expenses and income? What we attribute the year-over-year, quarter, or annual look to the drop in income and the increase in expenses to?
So you're talking this line here and this line here? The lines, I should say 13 and 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, this is 13, yep.
Yep.
So year over year.
13 and, I'm sorry, and then also on the income.
Yeah, that would be.
Oh, the other
That's-
income? So the other income is something we're still trying to get going again. Primarily, other income for cable has historically been ad revenue for video. When we moved over to streaming, we lost some of that revenue. We are working on getting those streams back. There's certain opportunities we have that we're looking into to see if we can bring that back up. Right now, it's primarily, I think, sales from QVC, and there's one other thing that's still hitting there that are making up the actuals for 2025 right now.
What about the operating income?
From a operating, so the total. Just wanted to make sure.
Well, signal sales are down.
14.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Like
if
a
it's
That's what
huge
I'm
amount.
asking. Is it totally attributed to that?
It's primarily, as you can see, the signal sales are the only ones really down, and that also goes with a little bit of phone. But it's primarily just the switch over to streaming and just the natural progression we're seeing, or the trends we're seeing of people cutting cable in general. Personally, looking at some of the streaming wars and what's going on out there, I think we have a chance to maybe bring people back to cable. We'll see what sports and Nesson can do as well. But it might be more optimistic of a picture than we were originally thinking. But I don't want to start rumors either.
Yeah, no, that's a huge amount, though. I mean, it's
Yeah.
100,000, right?
Jumps out at it.
Yeah, it
Well, it's right.
yeah. And if you take a look year to date, it's about 800. But we did predict it trending downward as well.
Is it
and that's-
about on track with what you predicted?
Yes, it couldn't, and I will give all the credit to Rick behind me, because if you look at the budget, 0 to 0, like, that's pretty amazing for what we're going through, to be able to nail those numbers that accurately. Any other? Okay. So taking a look at the balance sheet, total current assets decreased this year by 3.2 million. A lot of this is cash spend as we're building out the fiber project. Looking at non-current assets, they have increased year over year about 1.9 million, and you can see the majority of that is all of it is the plant asset, so that's the increase of the fiber. It's just offset by some of the pension and OPEB outflows. I do believe this will be one of the first years we may see some pension obligations, just because of some of the changes in those percentages we talk about with the auditors, plus the changing of the staff. But the retirement department did tell us that we might have our first payment in a few years, so it'd be exciting because I have yet to see one. But
So what you're saying is we've been paying in, except that now we're gonna have more of a demand for retirement than what we've actually got in the funds.
we've been covering our retirement so well, we haven't had to have any additional payments up until this point. And I think I don't expect them to be anything astronomical, but this will be the first time we're back to paying something. Taking a look at total assets, we are down about 1.2 million for the year. Jumping over to total liabilities, we are down 1.7 for the year. And if we take a look at earned surplus, it is up about 450,000. Total liabilities and earned surplus for the year are down about 1.2 million. Taking a look at the cash flow, bless you. We can see here that we started the year off with about 21 million, and we currently are down to about 9.7. This is a good drop, and part of this is due to us starting to spend, on the fiber project. We also had a franchise pilot agreement that was from the previous contract that wasn't resolved that came out this year. So that's that 800,000 here was just a correction. But that brings our total available funds.
That was additional payment to the town, or?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. That was one from the prior contract. We were, I think it was 13 or 15 months behind when the commission would approve to when the payment had to be made and went out. So when we transferred contracts, it was in dispute whether that last payment was actually paid or not. After a couple of years of research, we found out it was not, and we made the payment. So that should be all set now, and the old contract closed out. But that brings our total available funds for cable for this year to about 44.9 million. Any questions for cable?
So are we concerned that we're losing money? I mean, when will the fiber be done?
So I think
We're spending a lot of money on fiber, right? So that's like bringing down our income on that. And we're also losing money on signal sales, which we expected. So we're really draining cash at this point. At what point do we become concerned about?
I'll chime in
Okay.
on signal sales. On signal sales,
Please use the mic and state your name.
yes,
yeah.
I'm coming. Rick Maxey, and I'm business manager for the cable division, or broadband division. On signal sales, it is almost a complete pass-through. So basically, we don't make any money on TV. So essentially, when they drop, our costs drop too. So that's kind of, on the signal side, it's not that big of a deal. On the fiber side, we will be completely built out to residential homes by the end of this year. And then next year we'll talk, we're gonna be doing the MDUs, so the multi-dwelling units and stuff like that. And I'll give an update in the next
Yep.
presentation, but
Okay,
yeah, we're gonna be in good shape at the end of this year,
okay.
so.
And we do have, one of the things I was going to kind of show is we have decent reserves right now for a lot of the capital plans that happen on the cable side. So when you're looking at a data center, there's certain equipment and materials that have to be refreshed every 4 to 5 years or every 8 to 10 years. Those are usually items you can't go out and bond for because the bond items, they need to last 20 to 30 years. So with this, we have a lot of the capital to be able to refresh those areas, and we're working to make sure our current rates will then include enough money to keep refreshing all those items at the appropriate timing.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? If not, thanks for the electric and.
Thank you.
Before we go further, seeing that we've got the complete board here, I'd like to go back to item 2, which is election of officers. We've started the new, our new calendar, new fiscal year of operation, not even fiscal, but calendar, I guess, 2024, 2025, or 2025, 2026 calendar. And so as such, we are due at the first meeting, this one, to re-elect or to elect a chairman, a chairperson, a vice chair, and a secretary. So, with that said, do we have a motion for the chairman for election of
You
officers?
still willing to do it? I'd like to nominate.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still gonna be here, hopefully. Okay, with that? Just- you have a
Yeah, I'd
second?
nominate.
Okay.
Bob.
As second Bob Holland.
Okay, all in favor of Bob Holland as chairman, or chairperson?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, no objections. Okay, vice chair. Are you still available, Mr.
I am still
Ruffolo?
available.
Okay, well, I would like to nominate Michael Ruffolo as the vice chairman.
Second
Vice
that.
person. You want a second on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. And then finally, we have secretary. Tony, you're never going away.
I'm still here.
You're still here?
I am
Okay, you're
still
still willing to do it?
Yep,
Okay.
sure.
And then I'll nominate Tony Trippi as the secretary.
Second?
Okay, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, well then formally, the election of officers for the coming year have been made. Okay, so with that, we'll go back to the regularly scheduled programming and say the summer activities update on broadband division.
Rick Maxian, Business Development Manager for the Broadband Division.
Aaron LaCoyer, Broadband Technologies Network and System Operations Manager.
So we had a lot of good, big projects that went along this summer. One of the biggest ones was we launched the mesh system for our Wi-Fi in 2025. So it really enhances our existing Wi-Fi service. It'll provide a stronger, more reliable coverage throughout everyone's home, and it improves the performance of our Evo streaming devices for TV. We saw a lot of issues with the Wi-Fi with that product, so this is actually a really, really good solution for all of our customers. And then we had another large thing that I'll let Aaron talk to.
Yeah, so going back all the way to 2015, so 10 years now, right? We started planning our first fiber product that we launched throughout the town. Lakeway, right? That was our first location. That launched 2016, early 2016, late 2015. That equipment has been in our data center this whole time, being the backbone of that infrastructure. It had about 5,000 subscribers on it. Since then, through the fiber project, we've introduced new updated equipment that has higher speed capacities, better management software, that type of thing. But this equipment has always been there. We just retired it. So everybody has been migrated to the new equipment, the new software. And we pulled the plug on the original fiber equipment that we installed all those years ago. So huge win for our broadband team. We're poised now for the foreseeable future as far as, the equipment in customers' homes, the equipment in our data center. So speeds up to 10 gigs, all that type of stuff. So really cool things happening. But it was exciting to see it finally get replaced after all this time. So
Okay, you say that our speed is up to 10 gig.
will be.
Yeah, that's why,
Yeah, it's not available today, but this equipment affords us the opportunity to do.
what is it today?
1 gig is our
1 gig is our max.
max.
Okay, and when do we expect to be able to open that? I understand that part of the reason we don't go up to 10 right away is most folks don't even have the equipment at home to be able to handle that kind of speed.
Yep.
But what's the plan?
The plan would be we're going to probably launch in the next year or so. We'll launch 2.5 gigs as the next step up, and then we'll go up to 10 gigs. This allows us to offer 10 gigs to larger commercial entities too. So that's another good thing. But it'll probably be at least a year for the next step up for speeds. Honestly, a lot of times they think they need speeds, they're not using what they think they are. Typically right now, 300 megs, 300 over 300 or 500 over 500, that's all perfect for almost everyone's use case. So we're gonna keep upgrading. That's what we like to do, is instead of creating these new packages, new costs and whatever, we're just gonna upgrade our existing packages to the new speeds so that people can maintain the same price and all that stuff. So
It'll come in stages, right? Like you said, 2.5 gigs probably first, but that'll afford us the opportunity to keep an eye on our bandwidth capacity, right, as we increase, people's usage. So.
Okay.
So on the field operations side, we have done just an amazing amount of work in the last 3 months. We are now on track to reach almost 99% of single-family homes in Shrewsbury by December of this year. Phase 4, which is starting, it's actually started now. Most of the underground prep work is done, and that will focus on the multi-dwelling units, like I had mentioned earlier, and that will be 2026. Our current build areas, nodes, and I'm going to show some maps so people will see, and you can also go to SELCOupgrade.com to see a live, up-to-date map to see where everything's open. But nodes 10 and 20 are open, and installs are being performed right now. Node 29 is estimated to be done by the end of this month. It covers about 600 subscribers, and you can see here node 10, I'm sorry, I'll go here. Node 10, node 20, and node 29. You can see we've got one in node 20 is South Quincy. Node 10 is Oak Street by Route 9, and 29 is down Cherry Street, and that's coming soon. We're building, currently we're doing 24, 25, and 26. Those nodes are complete. Testing is underway, and we're going to expect to release them for installs November of this year. That is one of the larger, build areas. That's going to have 940 subscribers. That's Oak Street, Route 20, Edgemere, Lake Street, Howe Ave, and Hemingway. Nodes 8, 11, 51. 8 is ready for installs right now. 11 and 51 are expected to complete in November as well. That'll be another 600 subscribers. Nodes 16, 50, and 56 are being built right now and expect to be fully ready by the end of December. So with those build outs, we will have almost the entirety of the town for single family homes covered by the end of December. So highly recommend, if you see your spot on with green, switch from cable to fiber. It's much better for everybody. So and this is the current map right now that shows exactly where everything's coming. It'll say, we base it off of, it'll say 2025 Q3, 2025 Q4, the MDUs and stuff like that. You can see this map on SELCOupgrade.com. So keep tabs. And then we did a bunch of SELCO stream updates over the summer. So we did new firmware to improve our Evo boxes. That'll help with some reliability and performance issues that they were having. We fixed an issue that caused users to be unexpectedly logged out. I don't know if you've seen it, but some people got logged out inadvertently when we did something. But we have fixed the issue. The enhanced Wi-Fi connectivity has really helped that blue circle and the content can't be played issues. And we did, Jim mentioned it earlier, some of that other income, we did launch ad insertion last week. So we now have the ability to insert on our television channels again, which we haven't had since we launched Stream. So that was a big thing of revenue that we kind of just held off for the last almost 3 years. So that'll be good.
Wow.
And then we just did general bug fixes and optimizations to make it better.
Just an aside, NFL Red Zone.
Mhm.
We didn't really advertise that big time, but we offer that, and
Yep.
people that want to get Red Zone for the Sunday afternoon, early evening.
Yep.
uh,
Yeah,
coverage.
we had some.
Do we make money on that, or is that just something we
It's a
provide?
pass through, pretty much. Most of the cable is just a pass through, but we don't make any money on the Red Zone side of things. So that was, we advertise it in our newsletter and stuff like that, but we don't. Typically, we would advertise it on TV, but now we can do that again. So for the last 2 years, you didn't see any ads because we couldn't run any ads, but now we can again. So you'll start seeing more local ads coming through every time you watch TV. So it's going to be a good thing.
Not more ads.
I was gonna say.
Not more
Just-
ads.
Yeah, great, more
Just
ads.
replaces the
That's
ones that-
what we're,
Exactly.
that's what we need.
We're replacing the national feed ads with local stuff, so
Sure.
it'll be good.
At the end of the day, the video product as it stands today is a value add for our subscribers, right? Like, so the idea is, you know, we have an excellent internet service, phone service, and the video is, you know, if you're in town, you can still get, you know, that historic video service that people love where you get everything, right? Because right now, today, if you go out and you get Fubo, you don't get TNT, so you can't watch all of the basketball games. If you go and you get YouTube TV, you don't get Nesson, right? So we have
Well,
everything.
then recently, YouTube's had some problems where people have had to reload the app and everything else.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not just Selco streaming.
No,
Yeah.
it's complicated, right? It's like compared to what we've done for the last 25 years, 30 years, it's significantly more complicated as technology gets, right? So
Well, plus Telco Stream, I mean, just one of the, I think, just the local meetings, the local SMC access that's provided is just, you know, an add-on that people don't get, that, you know, they'll claim that they're not getting informed about anything, but then they've also go on and say, well, I've cut the cord, and they're all proud of it, but they're missing out.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, oh,
I was just gonna add, you made a good point at a prior meeting, I just was gonna reiterate, is when people think of streaming, they think of Netflix, you know, primarily, right? That's not live TV. So our Minerva product, or even YouTube, live TV via streaming is still a very new technology, which is why you see some of these bugs across the board. So I just think that's something to keep in mind. You can't necessarily compare, oh, Netflix has worked forever. Well, that's just replaying existing content. This is streaming live
Yeah.
programming.
it was very vindicating for us when Netflix dipped their toes in the water and did their first live stream, and it was a disaster.
It died, yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
it was, yeah.
We were like, yes.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are the options for streaming to like tap into any kind of local, like, I know you can't get Nesson on YouTube. What about like local news channels? Certainly, obviously not access to local, but are there options?
For the like major providers, or as just a subscriber or customer.
Like if I wanted to watch like the Channel 5 news in
Right.
Boston,
Right.
like at 5 o'clock, outside of Selco, is there even an option?
I mean, for streaming it, antenna would be right.
Yeah.
Like that would be. But as far as streaming, I'm not sure if they offer.
I don't know if they offer direct to.
Direct app.
I mean, they
Yeah.
may. Yeah, we're seeing that a lot of these companies are going direct to consumer, so they may offer something.
Like on their website?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then I wanted to touch base on a lot of what we did in these updates were accessibility updates. So we have added a new feature on our Android, so our Evo devices, that will do a larger electronic program guide. So the fonts will get larger on that. That's pretty easy to turn on. It's just in your device settings. You'll see it. And then the next update that we're doing right now will really enhance our talkback feature. So we're utilizing the talkback feature, which is what Google provides on their devices, and this will go through and it'll actually read off the guide data to you. So when you can't see or anything like that, you can scroll down and it'll say Channel 5, sports or whatever it will be. So it'll be a good thing. Then the future builds, so sometime in 26, you're going to start seeing voice command functionality. So you can go and say, I want to go to channel 32. So that's coming.
And as far as the voice command goes, I'm sure people are like, "Oh, voice command's been around forever." Yeah, but our product is across all the different apps, right?
Yeah.
So if we launch it and make it work, it has to work with everybody, which is an undertaking. So that'll be a nice feature when it comes.
Yeah. So that's it.
Okay.
Great.
Any questions?
On these multi-dwelling units, we brought, okay, so we buried the cable or the fiber, we bring it up to the door, but now we got to, how do we go into these buildings that we don't even own? Did we get, how do we work with the owners of the
It's
apartment
unique
complex?
for everyone.
Pardon?
Everyone is unique, right? So we have a company that, like Gordon Sabinar, the supervisor of the field operations side, he's been working with them closely, but they assess every MDU in town, right? And then they come up with an action plan to best provide that service. So uniquely, yes, is the answer. But yeah, they've been making it work. So that'll be that's the last step, right, of the fiber project, is finishing out those multi-dwelling units, but they're actively working on them. So Gordon and his team have been touching on that as we go along here.
Okay, and any of these new proposed construction probably.
We meet with them.
Yeah, we are,
We're part of the initial.
So that all gets done in advance. So new construction, great, right? Because we have a say in that, right?
All your pre-wiring and.
Yeah, exactly. We tell them exactly what conduit to put in, so we can just drop.
Now
it all
that,
in.
now they pay for that
Yes.
to get installed. Now, how about these old units? Are we having, do the, you know, the other for us to bring it in, are the owners of these apartment complexes paying us anything to install this stuff?
No, from the initial construction costs, no, not really, because we essentially had coax going into all those things, so we just bring fiber right in, and then we utilize the internal wiring and stuff like that to bring it to every single unit. So
Okay.
we don't charge anything for that, for those things.
For the biggest thing, right, is like we want to get migrated to fiber. So for the
Yeah.
sake of like trying to, expedite the process,
Yeah, shut down
we're
the
doing
cable.
more than we probably will like in the future, let's say, like new construction, right? Like that'll be on the onus of the property manager. But today, for the sake of our plant, right, let's get everyone cut over.
And just getting back to what you originally started talking about was mesh. That's a big thing, I'm one of those 55 and older folks that lives down at Village at Orchard Meadows. I mean, we got 114 units, a number of the basements have been completed, so mesh is the only way to bring in fiber. Have we done any of that we know it's working?
We've done mesh installs. People
Yeah,
have signed up.
we've-
Yep. And
we've-
I mean, we have a ton of test scenarios and devices
Yeah.
and environments. So, couldn't recommend the mesh, stronger.
Yeah,
It's
it'll be really good, especially it'll help us too, right? So now we have a little bit more insight, so we can see connections on devices and stuff like that. So we can say, like, you have your TV in your bedroom, and we can say, oh, the signal strength of that TV is awful. You're gonna probably need a mesh unit to come a little bit closer to that. So we can help, lay that out too. So it'll help out all consumers.
But in a commercial setting?
We do not have commercial
gonna say-
Wi-Fi yet. We're working on that. That's a project for 26.
Okay, but you're still not pulling in like a Cat 6 line for people, right?
No, we're not internal wiring. No.
Okay, I'm just confirming that,
Yeah.
just because I have.
But our mesh is designed to do all wireless backhaul, right? So it's designed for a wireless environment.
But then you'd have to put a mesh in for each unit that's in a building.
Yeah, so there's lots of talks about, without getting into too much detail, about how we handle mesh for businesses going forward, right? Like, do we offer a property manager, right? Like that would be a scenario like this. A property manager, they sign up for a Wi-Fi service and they are afforded the tools to distribute it to their units, right? So like being able to log in, set SSIDs, passwords, all that stuff, like a property manager potentially could do that down the road. But that'll come in stages, right? Initially, business Wi-Fi will probably be like, that small to mid-sized tier, not individual units or additional subscriber scenarios like a property manager.
Yeah, I was just looking at the pie chart, and it does seem like the commercial end is like still not
Yeah,
not transferring over, right, to
I think
fiber.
we owe it to the commercial folks to start more.
Well, I just feel like they have more challenges getting it, right? It's just because they have to, they have to put in more money to run the wires, and they're not doing it.
Yeah,
right?
and when it comes to Wi-Fi, I mean, there's a lot more tools and features that need to be available for business subscribers from a security perspective, right? Because you're having customers come on site to your location, and the last thing you want to do is have any kind of like security risk or anything like that. So it's the project for the business Wi-Fi service specifically is a bigger endeavor than residential.
Okay, I asked about the apartment complexes, but how about commercial buildings like warehouses and along Route 20? There's some big construction of some fairly large edifices. Are we working with them already as far as being wired as they construct?
Absolutely.
So they're not waiting till 2026 for some solution?
Yeah,
Correct.
and if it's there today, they get it today, right? As soon as they're ready.
Yeah.
So, and we're working individually with some of the larger businesses, like if they require, without getting into too much technical stuff, but if they require dedicated VLAN, right, they're on their own private network with us. Like we offer customized services like that they can reach out, to our team and speak with Rick and I, and we can come up with a solution for them. So there are added benefits for larger commercial subscribers that might not be advertised on the website, right? But we have that conversation.
Any
So
other
people
questions?
have to be seeking the information to get it then.
Yeah, but when any of the like big players, when they come in, they're like they're
yeah.
coming.
They know
to
what
it.
they-
yeah.
they
They
know
know
what
what
they
they're
want.
asking for, yeah.
Like UPS, right? For example, right? They come in and they say, "I want this," and we work with them to get that done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for these young men?
A lot of work done. It's good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, thanks for the work.
Yeah.
I just want to make a comment about the help desk though, because I was at my mom's and the system was, she had to put in her password again, like that shut down. Like the guy knew right away what to do, and it was like done in like 2 minutes. Like he was so helpful. It was like, he's like, I've been doing this for the last 2 weeks. So I just want to say it was, we didn't know what was happening when it happened, and
Made
but it was
easy.
it got fixed very easily. Yeah, so I appreciate
Forgot my
that.
password and had to do the same thing. So.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
he's
excellent.
like, he's like, do you have your password?
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Like, why would I write that down?
Yeah. We'll pass it along. Those guys work really hard down there, so I'm sure they'll appreciate it.
Yeah, for the viewing public, I think sometimes I notice that there'll be a comment on social media that, well, I tried to call the SELCO, but nobody answered, and I'm going, you gotta be calling the wrong number.
That's not
Yeah.
true.
Because
That's
they
so
may be
not true.
calling the service desk, but they should be calling the help desk. And you get
Yeah.
in there and
Right.
if you wait and you listen to all the choices, you are eventually either gonna get a warm body or you're gonna get, a message that's gonna, and then they get right back to you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I kinda, I shouldn't say I chuckle, but I just kinda go,
Yeah, and
I'm
I
just not
called
believing
it.
what you're selling them.
Our time to
I
answer
called
the phone
after
is very,
hours.
like, we have the data to back it up, but our time to answer the phone is very low, right? And we've taken strides with the supplemental support for 24/7, right? Where even if there's an outage, right, we have teams that are coming in and supporting us. So those guys are all on top of it.
Good.
Yeah, no, and like I said, I called after hours too. It wasn't like during the day. It was like
There you go.
so.
How dare you?
I had to. I was like,
But to the point of frustrating customer service, calling pretty much anything, anywhere, you're talking to another end of the planet. I mean,
Yeah.
it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have had
Right. Oh, yeah.
amazing experiences with,
Yeah.
relative to other, be on hold for 4 hours.
Yeah.
That feels good. We're proud of those.
I
That
know,
whole
it was
team.
good.
Yeah.
It was good.
Well, great. Well, thank you very much.
Good.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, we have Summer Activities Update Electric Division.
That's me. All right, so I'm here to do the.
And you are a young lady?
I'm here to do the update because I'm the newly appointed electric service director, and my name is Rebecca Keene. So let's see. We've had a busy summer. The field crews, and the engineering staff, the service area have been super busy. So I'm excited to showcase their work here today. And first update is the AMI project, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. This is our multi-year project to replace every customer meter with a smart meter. And we made substantial progress on this this summer. And actually, before I get into that, the benefits of AMI are manifold. I could sit up here all day just talking about how awesome AMI is. I think the big themes for me are it boils down to automation and more accessible data, and we can do so much with that, including it leads to increased operational efficiencies, more accurate and dynamic billing, faster outage detection, better load forecasting and therefore rate design, and enhanced data insights for you all as customers as well through the Smart Hub portal and things like that. So we can dig into those a little more if you'd like, but just some stats on the overall project. It kicked off in 2023. And this summer, we installed almost 2,000 meters just between June and August. So we're super proud of that number. It's pretty impressive from our standpoint. And that brings us to the total number of AMI meters in town. to 12,345, and the project to 74% complete. So we're really deep into the project. We have about 4,300 meters remaining, and we do plan to finish this project out completely later this year.
Next year. Oh, this.
Oh, I'm
fiscal year.
sorry. I keep doing that. I keep thinking
Fiscal
we're
year.
already in 26.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sean corrected me on that yesterday.
Fiscal year
I'm
again.
just fast forwarding.
How does the communication work? for the
So,
device?
so it's now two-way, forward and backward, and we'll eventually be at the point where meter reading is exclusively from the office. So there's no need to send someone out to drive by and read the meter like we have right now.
Is the device, what is the device what is it?
You mean like relays and all that? Chris, maybe you could get into the.
We have, and the exact number escapes me, but we have something like, is it 60 gateways? So we have pole-mounted gateways scattered throughout town to create that Wi-Fi mesh network.
Oh, neat.
And so what happens is it communicates wirelessly from the dwelling to the gateway, which then has, in most cases, a fiber backhaul back to the server.
Wow. How many points, access points? Or-
That is a good question. That was in the initial design and it changed. But I believe the number was somewhere around 50 to 60 for our territory. And that depends on terrain, right? If you have obstructions, you need more ability to have different access points. But
But this helps us because, like, even in a snowstorm or whatever,
Excuse me.
we'll be able to, you look at the AMI data, know who's has power, who doesn't have power,
Yeah,
and
and
what-
where the power-
and where those poles are, and whatever that gets affected, so we can do that.
That's great.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the amount of energy that's used to send these signals back and forth is far less than what the person who's gonna drive around and read your meter is gonna, by having to shoot your meter from the street, you're getting less effect, you know, if any, it's almost no effect anyways, but I mean, the issue is it's a lot lower by using AMI than it is using a meter reader.
Yeah, the whole process is less intensive.
And we also can, and I'm probably jumping ahead on what you're gonna present, but this is also something that eventually could be merged with DPW for reading of water and everything else, right?
Yep, they just they're kicking off that project right now. So we'll be sharing infrastructure with them. And I don't actually know what the time frame is for their deployment, but they're in the throes of it right
Sorry,
now.
I'm stealing from your GM.
no,
GM highlights,
no, that was a good one. I don't know, I think it was over the summer too. I had signed the change order, if you will, that enabled their access to our backhaul network. So the intent is to keep their data and our data completely separate, but the backhaul network's already there, so
Yeah.
save them.
You don't need another
You know.
device on the house or whatever.
Exactly, and on the poles.
Yeah, nice collaboration. And then down the line, we can also keep improving by having smart streetlights and things like that. So that's on the docket for a couple of years down the line. So having better
Maybe smart
controls and data.
streetlights.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So being able to control them from the office, see what they're consuming, dim them even. So it's just, this project leads us to an array of other benefits that we can keep enhancing and improving our overall operations and the customer experience too. So I think this project's great. And here is a map, just a visual to show where we are with AMI versus our old system, AMR. The orange is AMI, and you can see that the map is becoming dominantly smart meters, which is great. All right, anything else on AMI before I switch to projects?
We're not having any problem, we are not having any problems that I'm aware of readings, issues. In other words, when you first bring in an AMI meter into a home, is there some final reading that's done or matching it up? I know the gas company changed out a bunch of meters down our neck of the woods and they totally messed it up. The readings were, the bills were far greater than what they should have been because they didn't set it up correctly. How do we do that with AMI? Does that have anything to do with we're not really affecting the meters, we're just reading what's on the meter, right? So there shouldn't be any bill issues?
No.
No, pulling final reads and all that. We have a robust process for that. I don't know, Sean, if you want to add anything to that, but.
Yeah, we have a great checks and balances system where we close out the meter, make a reading, close it out, and then zero out the new meter and start fresh with the new meter. And we also great communication between the field and the office of closing that old meter out and then installing the new meter, and making sure there's multiple people check each meter installed, whether it be in the field or billing in the office. So there's great checks and balances through the system.
And we also have communication between the substation crew and the billing team in terms of how we're deploying as well, so that they're not out in the field replacing meters that we're trying to bill in the middle of a cycle. So, so the rollout is strategic in that way too. All right. Oh, well, thank you for
Visitor.
having me.
Real quick, because we talked about businesses, our coordination with the electric division actually was super helpful in the Premier VLAN thing we talked about with businesses. They were our guinea pig, and so that AMI project is all on their own dedicated VLAN, which is all done through the fiber. But it was because of them that we did it. So for all the new businesses that we support, it was because of electric. So great job, guys.
Wow, cool. Thanks, Aaron.
I never
All
heard
right.
cable compliment electric, I don't know.
Yeah.
You get one.
All right, next project is the 5K conversion project, and this is sticking with that theme of modernizing the grill, the grill. So the plan here, this is another multi-year project and long duration and large scale across town. The plan is to replace all of our 5 kV parts of our system and upgrade it to 13.8 kV. This will, again, lead to a host of efficiencies for us. We'll have one standard voltage across town, which makes us get away from that kind of swivel chair mentality that we're on currently. And then it also increases overall reliability, prepares us for continued load growth, which I think I have another slide on all the new construction in town. So that's really important. And then we're also systematically addressing the older, most tired areas of town through this project as well. And we hit some big milestones on this over the past couple months. A year-long project in the Crescent Street area wrapped up. The crews converted 342 customers, which is great. And then they also completed the Everett Ave area last week, and that was another 100 customers. And we have some maps here. Just showing the difference between where we were in 2024 when we kicked off this project and 2026 where we are now after these projects. So it's a little hard to see, but those arrows kind of pinpoint. You could see the circuits that disappeared between the two time frames. And some stats at the top there. Prior to these two projects that we completed over the summer, we were at 14.44% of our system was on 5 kV, and now we're under 12%. The goal is to be under 7.22% by the end of 2028, and that number is half of what we were in 2024 when we kicked off this project. Full completion of this will be somewhere around 2032. It is, again, a complicated, long duration project.
Looks like a fairly isolated part of town. Is that where the 5K exists? 5 kV
It's
exists?
spread out pretty fairly across, but Sean, again.
Is it just in that area of that map? I don't even know what we're looking at, but.
Yeah,
Sorry.
hi, Sean Quinlivan, operations supervisor, manager, I should say now. Yeah, so it's that circuit, essentially the left side, that brownish, is North Quincy, and the far greenish right side is Spring Street. So that's quite a distance across town. The arrows pointing, that lower arrow was Crescent Street. That was a big chunk that was taken off. We're working at the furthest most points and bringing it back to essentially a one line, a central line, to keep that SELCO reliability and redundancy, while also converting areas and updating them and making them to today's standards.
Now,
Stay up here, Rick.
Yeah.
the other part of this is that people wonder why we're jacking up voltage, but the real reason is that one of the reasons, I should say, besides just efficiencies and whatnot, is it line losses, right? As far as current, with the higher voltage, lower current, the less energy and heat given off, and more actual power that comes into the town that we're actually able to distribute and not lose and not be able to charge for. Is that correct?
Exactly, correct. So that is the case. Higher voltage goes out a longer way, less fuse sizing, less transformer sizing. It kind of it lowers that, so it's definitely more resilient for the town. And also, it impacts our transformers. So right now, we're purchasing dual transformers, which is 5 kV and 13.8. So to be able to standardize our equipment, to have one size and one style equipment, would be a huge benefit, and for the reliability for the customers.
Anything else on this project? I think our next slide is a new topic, new construction. All right, so as I said, the crews have been super busy out there this summer, and I think this slide is a testament to where Shrewsbury is going in general. This is a list of all the large new construction projects that we worked off over the summer, and this list is by no means exhaustive. There's a lot of other smaller scale projects that we didn't note here. I just wanted to point out a couple of them here. Clue Street and Rolfe Ave were town-driven in support of pump stations that they were either building or enhancing. 440 Hartford Turnpike is a big pharmaceutical customer that we had to relocate a bunch of poles along Route 20 to accommodate. Greenbrier is one of the new apartment complexes.
Where is that?
Yeah, where is that one?
Greenbrier is it's off Greenbrier, kind of behind the high school, on the backside of the high school. That neighborhood that kind of cuts down that way. It's a big development going in, winding up behind that development.
And this is one of several that are slated that have either been, we've been notified they're coming or they're going through the.
What happened to the sand pit down there in Trout's thing? Anything happened with that? Is that part of
Yes.
the same thing?
Yes.
I missed that. Did you hear, Sean?
No, I missed that one,
What was
so.
that?
So what's the sand and gravel was down in,
Oh, that's pending.
that's
Yeah.
pending?
I don't actually know what stage it is in, but we've been alerted that there's things happening there.
On the town side.
On the town side.
so-
Yep.
okay.
What else here? Oh, Prologis, UPS. I think you've heard us talk about this project in the past because this is a huge, large-scale project for us. This is gonna be a giant customer that'll kind of dwarf all of our other customers. And we reached a milestone this summer. We have most of the material either in our hands or en route, and we're gonna kick off construction. And that is slated to finish by the time they go online, which I think is now summer 2026, right?
Yes.
So we'll be busy constructing that for the next year. And all of these projects contain an undergrounding element too. So in line with the bylaw that passed at town meeting again this year. Anything else to note on these?
No, I just want to mention that the crew's been working really hard, whether it be substation, meter deployment, and the line crews to complete all these projects and tasks over the summer. So I just want to give recognition to them.
Could I make just
Yeah, go
one
ahead.
addition to that? I think, appreciate that comment too, and just something to keep in mind while that slide is on the screen is, and obviously correct me if you think differently, but one of the challenges we face is we have our internal work with the voltage conversion project, AMI, but then we're also here to provide the best customer service possible. So when these customer-driven projects come up, we redirect all of our resources to then support the customer. So there's this ongoing balancing act between how do we get our own internal infrastructure upgrades done at the same time as meeting customer demand with all these developments.
Yeah.
So it's just a little peek behind the curtain is the balancing act that Sean has to go through with respect to, we have ample amounts of work and not enough.
Personnel-wise, we're
hours.
about the same amount of people. We still have-
Well, and on top of that, with the efforts of the town to try to convert some private roads to public roads, and when the people come in and they want to have it, taken up, we also get involved because we have to move utility poles and whatnot, so that the spares, there's the requirements for their paving and the sewering and the new sidewalks and all the other stuff that go in. That's another burden that comes, it's a burden, but it's a pleasant one that we can help improve a community, but that's another job that comes in anytime. And even like the big project, I think there's a meeting with tomorrow night for sidewalks on North Quinsigamon. I mean,
Oh, really?
okay, everyone thinks it's great, let's get some sidewalks. Hey, great thing, but don't put the sidewalks where the utility poles are right now.
Yeah.
Because that's just gonna be another burden, the whole length of North Quincy, having to move utility poles over 3 to 5 feet, so you can put sidewalks in if you put them on the wrong side of the road. So there's all sorts of stuff that people don't see, that behind the scenes, that there are additional work that we have to pick up. Am I missing anything? I don't know, but.
Yeah, and despite those challenges, we are performing well in that area. Sean just told me that you had a great meeting with the Prologis UPS team, and they gave us a shout out and said that working with us has been great compared to other utilities.
Correct. Yeah, they made a point to say how great it was to work with the municipality and specifically us compared to what they have.
Well, remember, now this, just so the viewing public is aware, this is the one that's on the Grafton-Shrewsbury line where they moved up into Shrewsbury to bring a portion of their building,
Yeah.
which then gave us tax money, which then gave us the ability to provide power via SELCO and internet, which makes a lot of it money for us as far as, and so it behooves us to be as good on the supply side as they are on the demand side.
Absolutely.
But it's,
Which town line is it in?
Grafton.
Grafton,
down
sorry,
off
yeah.
of Centec.
Yep.
it's also a significant comment coming from Prologis. I mean, they're the largest logistics REIT in the country. They're huge, so they've dealt with a lot of utilities.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, two massive companies with UPS and Prologis and,
Yeah.
and us at SELCO, and we're proud to be holding our own in that project.
It's great.
How big is your team?
So as far as linemen go, there's 12 linemen. There is 4 substation / meter personnel. And, we got 4 engineers, whether it be electrical, civil, GIS experts. So we got a well-rounded team.
It's great.
Sean's done a good job too, at getting most linemen, even our youngest young linemen, to go through the, was it NEPA, or is it? NEPA programs for the 4-year program that they have for training these young, mostly men. I guess I don't know if we haven't had any young ladies go through yet, but to go training their safety and their education process. So, I mean, these are just not 12 people off the street that are, learning to climb a utility pole, but they've actually been pretty well welcomed in and trained. So it's
We had
very
2
valuable.
graduate
We had 2
year.
graduate
Yeah.
last year. We have 1 graduating this year. The NEPA is a great program. It's a 4-year program. They go a couple times, 4 times every year for a week, hands-on training, and then through that continues to advanced education, advanced line work education, and they're always continuing to learn underground. We had majority of our first class and above workers complete underground educational course. So all that is done through NEPA, and that really benefits our crews, especially for all this underground work that we're doing, to have that training.
Great.
And Sean alluded to this earlier, but he was recently promoted to engineering and operations manager from line supervisor. Not to steal your
No, that's
thunder
fine.
from
My
GM highlights.
GM
but-
highlights were all done.
Yeah. And now I've been moved over to electric division, so I'm excited for us to work together.
Congrats. Steve.
Congrats to everyone.
Yep.
All right, I think we got one more slide. This is just additional highlights we wanted to point out. We have a new module through NISC. It's called the Operations Analytics module, so it gives us more insights to our engineering team to what's going on in the system. Some examples are transformer loading analysis, voltage analysis, and loss reports. And we kicked that off when? Last couple months, right?
Yeah, it was a 6-month project, but yeah, last week we kind of really
The
dove
training.
into the training.
And a few updates from the IR team here. I figured there was a lot of content for IR team, so maybe we'll come back in a future meeting and just focus on that area. But we have added Tesla Powerwall batteries to the Connected Homes project, which is huge for us because for a long time Tesla has been kind of closed off. and not wanting to open source their technology. So including those batteries into our connected homes, I think ushers it into like a new level where we can really optimize that program. And also we layered in some more EV manufacturers in that over the summer. We got a grant that we applied for in conjunction with the town through the green team that is focused on the climate action resilience plan. And it is focused on marketing around decarbonization within neighborhoods. So having people adopt heat pumps and electric vehicles and things like that. So that's exciting, and we'll be kicking that off. It'll mostly be IR team and the marketing team that'll be working on that. And then we're also participating in this Mass CEC program called Critical Mass, where we kind of let startups in the climate tech realm know that we're open to pairing with them if they have an interesting technology that we want to demo in town. Nothing solid yet out of that program, but we did figure it was worth an update, just to let you know we're participating. Probably have a firm update in the next couple months. And I think that's everything we have. Any other questions?
Any folks, comments, questions? No?
Could I issue a correction?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I misspoke to your question about AMI gateways. It is not 60, it is 16.
16.
So I had misremembered.
How is that possible? Like, how strong are the signals like that?
It's, if you, I had to go back and check because it was bothering me. So if you look at the, they do, so when the project was kicked off a couple of years ago, they do a whole network study and topography of the community they're entering. And so however they do their signal analysis is how they come out with the layout of the actual, I'm surprised it's only 16.
I know.
I know, it seems like it'd be a lot more than that.
But I was checking the change order with the order quantities, and so however that, because they also repeat each other, so that's also to the photo smart photo cell question. So the more devices you have, the stronger the network gets. So that's part of it. Is
Yeah.
if we have a more dense, say, community, you can then use the other meters to then get back to the ultimate gateway. So if you have fewer meters, you're going to need more gateways.
Oh, the signal can bounce across the meters? Oh, wow,
Yes.
that's wild.
And streetlights. So once we get the smart photo cells on the streetlights, then that's an additional pathway for that signal to get back to the source.
That's pretty cool.
And now that we're 74% complete, just like from the billing side, the data is pretty filled in now. At the beginning of the project, we would see pockets where we would have to estimate or pull other information, but we have pretty robust data already, not even fully deployed, which is great.
Who makes the meters, just out of curiosity? Is it like a was it?
Itron meters?
Itron? Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thanks a lot.
Thanks for
Thanks.
saying.
And last but not least, the things that everybody turns in for every month, the GM highlights.
That's it. I mean, half of the thunder was already stolen. Well,
That's what
fine.
you get for giving us the read-ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, let's see. So I tried not to, put pages and pages of summer-related legislative bits. It's certainly been a lot to discuss. So I just, not to go through each of these, but the general theme, it's kind of a little bit over the map, all over the map, because there's been so many different things. But I thought these were tidbits that both reflect what has been discussed and some of the economic climate we operate in, as well as talk about some things to come in the next several months. So we have the grid study from ISO New England. So it just gives people ability to go and look at other studies they've done. This one, reputable studies anyway, with respect to ISO New England. And so I pulled out that paragraph just to show some of the possible data points to reduce emissions. with respect to that, as a feed-in, there's electrification. I just thought it was interesting. The used EV sale market, the prices are going down. So if anyone's in the market for an EV, used EV prices are quite low. I really like this example. If you incorporate the incentives and you do local driving, you can get a used Leaf for $1,000. So it's kind of an interesting example there. But there are others in that article that are probably more typical, but that was just an interesting, and I can confirm that too. I actually looked that up. Just battery storage online, that ties in. We have some local efforts that we're still working through some of the contract items, but if you can see here, September 10th, they reported on the Carver, Massachusetts Cranberry Point Energy Storage Facility, which is 150 megawatts and 300 megawatt hours, which is pretty sizable. So that one's another, it's another neat example of these technologies being deployed. We'll go through all of these. I'll skip over.
I noticed some comments, again, social media. The planning board, I think I'm correct, approved battery storage down off of Route, near Cherry Street, I think,
Yes.
down on Route 20. And somebody had made a comment that they thought that would replace, that battery would potentially replace our peak generators up at Home Depot.
Oh,
And that's not true. But I just figured I'd bring that up, and maybe you can explain just a little
Yeah.
bit that what this battery supply is going to do versus what our diesel generators that we have down at Home Depot and our gas generators that we have at Centec.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the batteries, like the one for Cherry Street or others, those are largely short duration peak offset units. So they might be, like in this case, I'll actually use this large one, right? You have 150 megawatts and 300 megawatt hours. So what that essentially translates to is at peak demand, the 150, that unit could run for 2 hours, because that will give you your 300 megawatt hours. So that's where you see if you're deploying a battery in Shrewsbury, that's not 150 megawatts, but it's 5. You're going to get a 5 megawatt load for, say, if we go for a 510, you're going to be able to run that 5 megawatt load for 2 hours. That's much different than a peaking facility that is continuously fueled,
as long as it's got fuel,
that
keep running.
you can run that for a 4-hour window. Both serve a similar purpose, where they're both used for peak mitigation measures. But it's much more targeted, where a battery isn't a generator, right? You have to charge it and then discharge it at an appropriate time, whereas a peaking plant can run continuously if you needed to at a moment's notice for as long as the fuel supply is there. So that's part one. Part two is those units are aging. The one over by Home Depot, and we're mindful of, obviously, things don't last forever. And so, we're monitoring, because those also are in the ISO markets. There's a very strict and long runway time, because they're a critical component to grid reliability. So there's a multi-year process to go to retirement, which would also warrant some kind of suitable replacement. And so we're looking at things like longer duration battery storage. If you had a storage array that could offer multiple megawatts for several hours, that would be something to look at.
If we ever had to replace the diesels, could we do that at that point?
We could. Like I said, there's a D-list process, which takes a while. And so, that's, with our list of projects that's in there. But yeah, that would be a multi-year process to figure.
Yeah, and another just a side note on the ones at Home Depot is ISO New England actually is the one that calls up
Yes.
and actually energizes those when they realize that they're going to need it to shave the peak. late, and that's why folks would hear him usually in the late afternoon, early evenings in the summer, is that they bring those up to speed. But we don't start those ourselves. We've turned that power over to, or that ability over to ISO New England, correct?
Yep, that's actually a key point as well. So if you hear those diesels running, again, that's not us dispatching it, that is the regional grid operator. And if those are running, they prioritize their load dispatch regionally by asset cost and efficiency. So if our diesels are running, that means the grid is very stressed, because if you're
Very
calling on
expensive
an
component.
oil-fired 1975 locomotive engine
Yeah.
to bolster your grid, things are strained.
Things are hot.
Yeah.
I was
so-
at Home Depot one day and it was firing one hot summer day this
Yeah.
summer afternoon, like 5 o'clock.
Yep.
Peak time. And I went to the ISO New England Lab to see what the pricing was like.
Yeah.
300x.
Yeah,
It was
exactly,
insane.
exactly. So, the goal is to, ironically, the goal is to not have those run, but they're there to make sure the lights stay on.
How often do they run?
Ish. They,
Like
ish,
times a year?
they
Probably
probably run, I'm trying to think now. I don't want to issue any more corrections. I think it's probably a couple times a month through
Yeah, I
the
was gonna say
summer.
a dozen.
You know,
throughout
so
the-
you're talking a dozen
Yeah.
or so.
Now, the gas turbines, ISO doesn't run those, do they? They call us, or we run those, don't we?
So MWIC dispatches
Oh,
those
MWIC
based
does, okay.
on their forecasts.
Gas turbines?
The one at Syntec.
Just Centec,
Yeah,
yeah, there's a
Centec.
gas beacon over there.
Were munis exempt from deregulation in the 90s?
Yes.
Interesting. I don't know why that thought,
Yeah.
I never had that
Yep.
thought pop into my head before.
That's
Yeah,
worked out very well.
yeah.
But yes. So let's see. So kind of like I said, I don't want to bore everyone going through each of these. Back to that billing point, I thought that was an interesting run. Just Rhode Island Energy had a billing issue. National Grid, that's a carryover billing issue. So these big IOUs are having trouble modernizing their billing systems. But this one's, I thought this one, I like this. Electric grid growing faster than anticipated,
Yeah.
as a report from the EIA. Again, I look for themes, so you might see EIA report something, ISO report something, so I kind of try and put them in there and look for consistency. And that growth consistency is uniform in a variety of different sources. The number obviously is anyone's guess, but that's another way that we just look at where things are headed. And so I did it by chronological order, but if you look at, there's a couple down below. You'll see U.S. electric rates up 7% since 2024, and that can be a statistic as we look at future rate increases ourselves. It's another benchmark just to show how our increases are consistent with the markets.
Well, yeah, you've identified the Palisades as a nuclear power plant that was retired, that is gonna be brought online.
Yep.
You got the 3 Mile Island, Plant 2, that's gonna be potentially brought online for these data centers to provide power for that. It's because they're already in place, and if they can restore them, then they're a clean energy source. You're seeing that across the country.
Yep. So there's that. As a quick aside, throwing in there in September, actually effective today. Tom Barry, so our partners at MWIC, right? We've gone through the history, so longtime CEO Ron DiCurzio has announced his retirement. Yep, so that was a major milestone in knowledge transfer effective yesterday. So Tom takes over. He has a great background. And so we're very optimistic it's going to not only be business as usual, but we're going to do a lot of really neat things moving forward to adapt to the changing environment we're in. So he'll be around. Tom's a great guy. He's been making the rounds with different MLPs. He's usually here if we host the meetings and you happen to be in the building. He's here. So I'm sure you'll have a chance to meet him in the not-too-distant future. Here's another one. I just wanted to speak to these two before I move on to the other things. I'll first start with, they're all the theme, the 7% article above. The energy prices are climbing more than twice as fast as inflation from below. And then the Time magazine excerpt in the middle, the backlash to high electric bills transforms U.S. politics. I find this to be very true, and why I find this particularly noteworthy is you're starting to see that, right? Public power at its outset 100+ years ago was in large part a response to society's issues with the incumbent private utilities, whether in that case it was just not bringing power to rural communities, right? They're just outright refusing. They're saying it's not profitable to extend our lines to these farming communities, good luck to you. Now what we're seeing is a new trend where if you look at our rates and the rates of our public power peers in comparison to IOUs, you're starting to say, well, wait a minute, what's this business model disparity? So it's kind of, in my view, the more educated people become, the more upset they come with high electric bills, the more our business model meetings like this get attention. And I just thought it was interesting that a place like Time magazine would call attention to that theme. So interesting reading if you are so inclined.
Well, then you throw in, most recently, those who have some gas coming into their house should get a letter from Eversource saying stand by,
Oh,
Right.
for the winter.
Right. So
They're just gonna add to the energy.
They're going in for a 16% winter rate increase in natural gas,
Yeah.
and then the governor slaps them. How about we get more natural gas into the region to lower the rates? Like that, it's
Yeah,
maddening.
What are they waiting for?
You get angry about the rates, but you don't want to
Yeah.
do anything about it to actually increase the.
Right.
Sorry.
yeah, there are, like I said, many other conversations.
Yeah, exactly.
Items
We
that
could spend the whole
go
hour
on
on
this.
this topic.
But that's the nutshell, and like you said, to your point, the concise version is, we're monitoring that, looking at how it impacts rates, and, that just informs the decisions to come. All right, shifting gears quickly, we'll talk briefly about the HR bullet points, which we've talked about a couple of these, and so I won't go in this order. I'll go in order of people you've seen today. So we had Becca and Sean. We made those adjustments. So Becca's Director of Electric Service. The idea is we have three. How do I make this concise? So we have three, if you will, major business units. So obviously electric and cable. We have IT services that we provide to the town because they are significant. Obviously, we talked about the financials, but significant, client, if you will, of IT services. So those are, I kind of categorize that as business unit. And then you have your supporting divisions, if you will, finance, customer experience, and human resources. And so that's the team we're trying to kind of fill out here. So you have Becca representing Director of Electric Service, representing electric. Filling in that, behind her is the Engineering and Operations Manager, which is Sean, and his wealth of experience. So bolstering that operational and engineering side, which is great. And so on electric, we have two postings to kind of fill out the role to your question about staffing. So with Sean going from supervisor to manager, we have a field supervisor, a true day-to-day to go out in the field and engage with contractors, crews, keeping everything moving. So that role is now whole is now created by Sean's new role. So we'll fill that one. And then we have an engineering technician posting as we speak, which we're actively interviewing for. And so that really, that It's helpful in context with the workload we have. We're delivering, we have deadlines with all of these customer-driven projects. We have to turn around engineering deliverables in a very short amount of time. We have to design our own projects. We do leverage a little bit of outsourced engineering just to boost, to use the peak terminology again, but to boost our resources during peak. And also it's an educational component too, by having outsourced engineers that actually helps educate our own staff with good practices.
What kind of a company, like what,
We have
who would that
Control
be?
Point. So
Control Point?
Control Point, they're based in Vermont formerly. I believe their engineers are spread out.
Not to be confused with the Control Point Mechanical that's in
Yes,
town here.
good.
that
I always
does
forget about that.
HVAC.
Yes, this is independent, different complete outfit. We've used others, PLM is a common one that's been historically involved with public power. There are others out there, but right now we have Control Point.
Is that more on like the sort of physical infrastructure engineering?
Yes. Like a subdivision. If Sean's team's busy with a bunch of other things, they could say, hey, we have a.
Transformer sizing. all that sort of
Exactly,
stuff.
could you just, here's the subdivision plan, could you draft up, a design and load analysis and whatnot.
Cool.
On top of that, we'll do protection coordination too. That's actually that's pretty complicated to say if you install a new switch on the north side of town, how does all of that coordinate with the substation breaker settings on the other side of town? So we'll outsource some of that because they'll model that in their software platforms. Yep, so thanks to them, I'm actually quite excited. We have a really good team, so that'll be good. So that's electric. We'll go back up since Rosanna's here too. If you recall from Greg's untimely passing, we had that. Rosanna was in the acting role. We appreciate that. She's done an amazing job, so it was only fitting to ask her to fill it permanently. So she did so. So Rosanna's our new director of IT. She's great. Just to put a plug on a couple of things, she in I don't know, the first minutes, she has a great strategic plan for IT to keep pace with, no one knows the town's needs better than she does. So it's a strategic plan to make sure our networking behind the scenes is up to snuff, as well as the, needs of our both SELCO and the town are met, as best as possible. Sorry, and I forgot, that's right, so Becca moving to electric service, she takes Patrick Collins, is integrated resources manager, so he is behind the scenes working on rate analysis, power supply, working closely with MWIC, DSM programming, rebates, calculating if we have adoption targets, how do we structure our rebates in order to actually incentivize the behaviors we're looking for in adoption. So he's integrated resources manager. And we also hired a new CSR, Michelle Willett, which has nothing to do with structure change, except just filling a vacant position.
Well, I think overall, a comment on the human resources is that you've been very successful in nurturing young talent, bringing it forward, putting them in a larger responsibility positions, of which they've succeeded because you provide a little bit of a safety net so that they learn on the fly here. But I think overall, the growing of the individuals internally is quite remarkable and of benefit to SELCO and the community. So with that said, I'm glad they're all here and they've decided to stay with us.
All right, I appreciate that. I'll, if I may add then a few more points of color. It's an interesting, we're an interesting sector. I don't think it's necessarily unique to utilities, but we're still in this massive era of retirements. And with retirements comes challenges, not only with loss of knowledge, but also job opportunities for the most talented. And so that's where, you know, I think feel very fortunate, you know, we've created a great environment to do that. You know, whereas these folks go to conferences and, you know, like, hey, you wanna come work, you know, and they're like, yeah, we're good, thanks.
So we're not going to any more conferences.
Yeah, no
You
more
know,
conference,
but-
no more conference.
But the point is, you know, we go out there to be the role model, right? People wanna come here, you know, so we try and to your point, go out and folks come to us and be like, hey, you have any openings? You know, cause we,
Oh, that's good.
you know, that's what we're trying to build here, and, you know, and that's it, like, to your point, conferences, trainings, you know, we're looking for people of good character and good work ethic coming in, that's the hardest to train, and then we can provide the academic knowledge through supplemental coursework. So that's kind of been the strategy.
I know a few years ago, we were worrying about the turnover, all the people that had all this experience, but the new people come in and they seem to have the capabilities of doing it all.
Yeah. No.
And it's almost like a quantum leap up, too.
Yeah.
Well, and this
Yeah, it's
board,
nice.
this board has worked hard along with you and your HR crack staff to make sure that the people that are on the deck plates, the linemen and whatnot, have been fairly compensated under the new contract and whatnot, because it's very competitive for Muni to go against some of these larger, you know, like National Grid or Eversource, because of the way they can pay a far greater salary, but how we make the quality of life for them while they're here is very beneficial. And I know we went to a 4-day work week and whatnot to kind of meet those needs, because that's what
That working?
what the rest of the force was doing, you know, what the rest of the industry was going to, and we've been able to make that work so far. So, again, good effort.
So,
Okay.
yeah, that's a big one from the summer. And then the rest on here, excuse me, probably you know most of it. Between the events we go to, you can see there, and like I say, not to minimize that by not going through each, but the Touch a Truck events are great. The movie nights, I kind of wanted a fiber light wand and never got one, but
You had to
those
go.
are pretty nice. Yeah, exactly. But those are really good events. And then just the details, some of this is overlap with what we had heard in our summer updates, but for thoroughness, we kept it in the highlight document, so it's all in one. But you have some integrated resources updates that you heard about. Oh, I almost forgot about this one. So the facilities modernization project, AKA the new building, I threw in just a few bullet points to be very concise about where we're at. Surveying work is largely complete. We haven't seen the final version. That's with our project manager, so they're reviewing that. So that's under review with our OPM. The needs assessment is complete by the architect, so they went around, they asked everyone what's working, what's not working, how could we do that better in a new facility. They then turned that into a block diagram. They took the needs assessment, translated into rough square footage needs. So then it basically is a block diagram, simple rectangles and squares and whatnot, to see if it fits on the parcel on North Quincy. We have run into some challenges there, so we're looking at how those can be adjusted. And that's where you see the following bullet point. Once a block layout is selected, then you go into the cost and estimating process to say, okay, what's your cost per square foot for this type of facility? And the culminating, that deliverable is expected to be ready for our November meeting. We're slated to receive it back from them around mid-November, which should be just in time for that meeting. So that's
good.
probably the fastest version of the of the new building. And
I think everything else is just data.
and then the rest is the day-to-day detail of things you heard about earlier today.
Good.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
With that said, do we have any other comments, questions, or anything from the
Next
board?
meeting?
Yeah, well, the next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, October 21st at 0800 here. Okay. With that said, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. And thank you to SMC.